Guys, sorry about that. I lost my internet connection for a while, so that's why my live stream was cut short from earlier today. Uh, like I said, I'm live streaming from my phone because I don't have an internet connection in my apartments yet. So I don't know. I guess internet connection here is just going to be a little bit shaky every once in a while. I really need to get Wi-Fi set up in my apartment, but it's just easy to put off because I cannot usually use my phone. So anyways, over the last half hour or whatever, I've just been sitting here sewing up some of my dancing shoes because we're going dancing, swing dancing tonight for one of my friend's birthdays. And here I'm looking at my shoes and got a little hole in there, so I'm trying to sew it up. It's tough sewing through the leather. Anyways, actually I'm just gonna keep working on this while I talk. Anyways, I forgot where I was in my last live stream. We were talking about some of my favorite apps that I've been using this year. I had been taking Spanish and French all last semester. And I used Link extensively. That's Link, L-I-N-G-Q. It's an app/website created by the polyglot Stephen Kaufman. And I find it to be really useful. He's big on comprehensible input, and I really like that app. I've also used Spotify a lot for listening to French and Spanish music. Because, listening to music is one of my preferred methods for maintaining languages. So that leads me up to summer vacation. And I studied French and Spanish pretty diligently throughout the entire semester. And I knew I was going to be moving to Thailand. Hello, Breno. Thanks for joining. I'm not sure if you were here earlier, but I'm kind of starting off where I left off in my last live stream when I lost internet connection. I knew I was going to be moving to Thailand. I knew I wanted to start learning Thai. I wanted to start learning like 6 months ago, but I just, I was minoring in Spanish and in French on top of teaching English and majoring in linguistics. It was just like all of these languages, and so I didn't want to add one more language into the mix while I was still studying and trying to get good grades and do well on my finals. The day after my last Spanish final, so, my first day of summer vacation, I started learning Thai, like right away, because I didn't want to waste any time. I knew I only had like 2 months to study before moving to Thailand. And I went through a lot of different apps that I had been using or trying to use to learn Thai. The absolute first program/resource that I ever used for learning Thai was Pimsleur. And I live streamed the whole thing. I live streamed my first 5 days of learning Thai. So you can watch the whole thing if you're interested. Don't watch the whole thing. I'm sure you have something better to do with 20 hours of your life, but you can go check it out and fast forward through portions of it and see how much Thai I learned in 5 days. And I had previously done live streams like that for learning German, learning Italian, learning Tokipona and Esperanto. So that was a really good experience. I used Pimsleur. I used what else? Mango Languages. I still use that somewhat regularly. I tried using ThaiPod 101, which I was not a big fan of right away. Actually, I've gone through different phases with Tide 101. I've liked it, I've disliked it, I've liked it again. But my first week, I basically started using it and then gave up because I didn't think it was helping me that much. At least not in the very, very absolute beginner stages of my first week. I didn't particularly like it. I started using drops that week, and I stopped using drops that week for the same reason. I didn't think it was really useful for my first week learning Thai. I started using Memrise that first week, and I stopped using Memrise that first week, not because I don't think it's good, but because I couldn't find a good course for Thai. But I should mention that this week, someone from the Memrise team contacted me and asked me to do a review video for Memrise, which I've done review videos on Memrise in the past, but I guess they want me to do another one. And I'm going to be getting a free subscription to their premium account. So I'm looking forward to trying that out because I've always really liked Memrise. And yeah, I've never tried out the premium subscription before. So I'm excited to see what that's like. So like I said, I started using Memrise that first week. I couldn't really find a good course that I liked using for Thai. But again, that was my first week, and I'm at a different stage now than I was back then. So we'll see if I can find a good course on Memrise that I like using for Thai. What else did I use? I have this book called Learn to Read Thai in 10 Days. And this book has been fairly useful for me. I started using it the first day and gave up. Again, I often say learning language is a lot of trial and error. There's so many apps and resources out there. You have to find which ones work for you and use those, and find which ones don't work for you and don't use those. Don't waste your time. And I went through probably 4 or 5 different resources that first week that just weren't working for me. So I stopped using them because I have, I have more valuable ways of using my time. Like sewing up my dance shoes. Sorry, I gotta go grab a pair of scissors. All right. So I found a lot of resources that I just decided to stop using because they weren't helping. That said, I then went back and started using a lot of those resources again. So I'm now using drops every day. I'm using Tide 101 more now that I can actually understand a little bit. That first week when I couldn't understand anything, it really wasn't helping. But now that I can kind of understand Thai a little bit, I can at least understand basic conversations, it's more helpful. I am going to start using Memrise again, hopefully now that I've progressed to a new level. I'll find some course that's more appropriate to what I'm trying to learn now. The Learn Thai in 10 Days, Learn to Read Thai in 10 Days book, that is really a good book. But in my first week, I was just so overwhelmed with trying to learn to speak and write and read and listen and trying to learn new vocabulary, trying to become, trying to increase my fluency. I just decided not to worry about reading and writing that first week. This past week, I have decided that I'm going to start really focusing and honing in on reading and writing a lot more. Oh, we have a comment here. Okay, Jacob Gasser says, "Oh no, my YouTube didn't send me a notification when you went live." Oh, that's strange. Yeah, I was wondering why it looks like we only have like, I've only had 1 or 2 views so far in this video. I'm not sure. Maybe it has something to do with I was already live streaming and got cut off, so they're not gonna send another notification to people now. But it's okay. I'll just talk to the camera, and then people can still watch this video later. Hopefully more people will join, because I prefer to have conversations during my live stream rather than just monologues, but it's okay. Either of them work. During my intermission where I lost all internet connection, I started sewing up some of my dance shoes. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm almost done, and I didn't want to stop to start my live stream again. So please forgive me. Where was I? Yeah, I decided I'm going to start focusing on reading and writing again pretty hardcore this week. Let me see if I can find... Yeah, so there's a lot of people here who have been very helpful, who have learned Thai. There's also like a very high number of people who have lived here for like 5 years, and I'll tell them that I took 1 week of courses, and they'll be like, oh, so your Thai is probably way better than mine is. Oh, I don't have my flashcards in here. Let me go grab them. So I've met a lot of people who have been very helpful, who already have learned Thai. And you know, like, they all want to tell me what they did to learn Thai, what their method was, how they learned, what worked for them, and I really appreciate that. That's how language learning should be. You know, you help each other. So this one guy that I work with gave me these flashcards for learning all the Thai consonants. And if you know anything about Thai, the alphabet is ridiculous. I feel like it's even worse than the English alphabet, English spelling. So it's just all this stuff to remember. But he came up with this system, and he made these flashcards himself. And I've been following it. It's been pretty helpful. Other people have given me like mnemonics and stuff for trying to remember the different classes of Thai consonants. It's a very complicated system, but I'm learning, and people have been very helpful. So let's see, I'm getting ahead of myself now. So yeah, that first week of learning Thai, my first week of summer vacation, I went through a lot of different resources that I had been using. I'm starting to hone in now. I've been continuing to use Pimsleur. Pimsleur has been like my solid foundation. I made it through all 30 lessons, then I went back and I'm listening to them now a second time. I'm not listening to them as extensively. Like the first time I would literally listen to one lesson 4 times before moving on to the next one, or like at least 2 or 3 times. I'm not doing that this time. I'm usually listening to them like one at a time, or maybe listen to it twice at most. But it's good. Pimsleur is just something that I always recommend if they have it for your language, which they do have quite a few languages. If you're learning something really obscure, like I don't know, if you're learning Algonquin, then they might not have a Pimsleur course for that. They don't have a Pimsleur course for Esperanto, which is really disappointing, because I feel like there would be a market for that, and you would be able to learn so much from just one Pimsleur course in Esperanto, because you don't have to spend your time, learning about exceptions to the rules and irregularities and stuff. Just learn the language. And actually, does anybody know if there's ever been a push for that? Wait, hold on. I just saw an Esperanto flag on here just a second ago. Okay, oh, I'm missing a bunch of comments here. Sorry, folks. Okay. Is Duolingo helpful with the crown system? I haven't really been using Duolingo lately. I think it's good for starting a language. So if they had Duolingo for Thai, I would have been using it, but they don't, so I don't. And it also depends on the language. Duolingo is good for some languages, like Spanish or French or German. It's not good for Chinese. So maybe even if they had a Thai course, it wouldn't be that good. I don't know. Oops. Some comments. Is Duolingo helpful with the crown system? Okay, Shay Knight, in my opinion, Duolingo is still amazing, especially with some supplementary vocab. Wait, I was talking about Esperanto. Sorry, I'm new to live streaming from my phone. I don't really like this. I have to like scroll up and down to see people's comments. Still like Duolingo, they update and improve constantly. Yes, the Duolingo for Esperanto is excellent. I met friends at NASC who had only been studying they had been studying Esperanto for like 2 to 6 months, and they could hold entire conversations. I mean, we lived our lives in Esperanto from the morning when we woke up to night when we went to bed. We would just have Esperanto conversations. We would play board games in Esperanto. You know, we'd just hang out. We would have meetings in Esperanto. Everything in Esperanto, and that's just from using. And a lot of people they reached that level of language proficiency using only Duolingo. So the Esperanto course on Duolingo is really good. You know, there's no way you could reach that same level of proficiency in Spanish using only Duolingo. And then Ivodum says, Saluton, Aaron. Saluton. I'm not sure. Do I know you in real life? Sometimes people comment on here and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm friends with this person or if they're just like someone who found my channel on YouTube. Because I don't, like, you know, people often don't use their picture or their real name. So I don't know. All right, yeah, their forums are amazing. They just updated their Arabic course. I think the mobile app isn't as good as the browser version though. Yeah, it's strange how a lot of times apps and stuff or language learning resources will be really good online and then their app will just be missing a ton of the functionality. Link is my all-time favorite using it to read Danish. Yeah, Link is absolutely up there with one of my favorite language learning resources. Unfortunately, they don't have Link for Thai, at least not yet. Because if they did have it, I would absolutely be using it. I do understand how it might be more difficult to implement Link into Thai because you don't have word boundaries in Thai like you do in most Indo-European languages. It's just all your words squished together with no spaces in between. So, I don't know how they would go about determining word boundaries. Either way, I would still use it if they find some way of working through that. I would absolutely use Link to read in Thai. All right. He says, "Oh my, you're so right about Duolingo. It's not good for Asian languages." Yeah, unfortunately. I like Duolingo. Some people have joined our Esperanto society using Duolingo, just using Duolingo. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying. There's a lot of people who have learned Esperanto using Duolingo, and they are like basically fluent, depending on how you define that word. And Esperanto is the only language that I can think of where it would, where you could reach that level of proficiency using only Duolingo. So let's see. We were talking about what resources I've used this year. Actually, to be honest, I prefer talking about what resources other people have used because I don't like having a channel where I just talk about me all the time. It's easy for me to talk about myself, but I like it when other people share it with their experiences because it gives us gives me something to talk about. Sometimes I'll be talking on here and I don't know what to say. Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna put my shoe away. I'll sew that later. Okay, vi ne konas min en vivo, sed laŭ via verda t-ĉemizo. Sorry, laŭ via verda t-ĉemizo, se vi povas legi ĉi tion, mi ŝatas vin. Yes, ĝuste. Okay, yeah, it's just tough sometimes because I know a lot of people from NASC or from, just other language learning things, and they'll come on and see my channel, and I won't know that I'm talking to someone who I know in real life. Anyways, so I was learning Thai pretty much nonstop. I was learning Thai like all day, every day for like a month or so. And then I went to NASC in North Carolina, which is like a summer, it's basically summer school / summer camp / Esperanto convention, where you just learn Esperanto and you just speak Esperanto. And that was amazing. We spoke Esperanto all day. That was really the first time I had experienced that. I had been to a few Esperanto meetings before, and I had like used the Passport de Servo to stay with different people around the world who speak Esperanto. But that was full immersion in Esperanto, and that was really cool. I didn't really use many language learning resources while I was there, because I had teachers and stuff. And I had just other Esperanto speakers to speak to. That was my resource, just hanging out, chilling, talking to other language learners. I used Google Translate quite a bit, which Google Translate isn't great for Esperanto. It's not bad, but definitely not as good as it is in Spanish and French. I used Vortaro.net, and I used the, what do they call it? La Plena Vortaro Esperanta or something like that. There's a few different online Esperanto dictionaries which were very helpful. But as far as like Duolingo and stuff, I wasn't practicing Esperanto online. I was practicing Esperanto with human beings at NASC. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Okay, do you want to know a good language learning resource? Keep a journal in the language you're trying to learn, of course. Yeah, absolutely. My Thai isn't good enough yet to be able to really journal in it. Definitely not my written Thai and reading Thai. But I have been keeping this notebook of just like some of my lessons and stuff that I've been going through. I'm not really that much of a note taker by nature, so this is better than what I typically do, but it has been useful. It's unfortunate because there's not a whole lot of really good resources out there for Thai. Sometimes, I need something that's gonna push me and something that's gonna test me. Because if I'm just reading a book, my tendency is just gonna be to read through it. And, a lot of times I won't have anything to test myself and see that I'm actually learning the material. So, it's good to keep a notebook and just do exercises in there without looking at the book to make sure and see that I'm actually learning and comprehending. And then once I get to a point where, I'm doing an exercise that I don't know how to do, again, there's the thing that I need to study. So that has been useful, like in the absence of Duolingo, or other apps like that really test you. Pimsleur, you just go through the CD, and then by the time you reach the CD, you're done. The end of the CD, then you're just done with your lesson for the day. Mango, you just slide through all the slides, and it's helpful, it's good, but if I forget a word, all I do is just slide to the next one, and it doesn't really do anything. So it's nice to have some kind of system where I'm testing myself. I guess drops, I have been using drops, and that's kind of like that. It does test you on which vocabulary words, but that's only for vocabulary, that's not really for grammar. They don't test you on tones or anything like that, so it's not as helpful. Oh, I started using Glossika for the first time this past week. Glossika is one of those things that I've always heard about. I've heard other people say good things about Glossika, and I've just never tried it. So I've been trying it over the past week or so. I'm not sure what my opinion is on it yet. My very first opinion, the first couple lessons that I did, I was like, this is so inefficient. How do people like this? It's like, all they did was they would read off a few like completely unrelated phrases, and I would just like repeat them. But a lot of times the speaker would speak so fast that I couldn't understand what they were saying, and I couldn't even really repeat what they were saying because they were just rattling off random phrases, and they were all completely unrelated. In my first few lessons, I was like, this is really bad. And I almost gave up. I'm glad I didn't, because I can kind of see how it would be good, or I can kind of see how it would redeem itself as you go along and progress through the levels. The jury's still out on it. I think I have to give it more time. And really give it a fair chance. Maybe I'll make a review video on Glossika sometime in the near future. Okay, sorry, I'm missing tons. Like I said, I'm not used to live streaming on my phone, so I'm missing a lot of comments here. We were talking about journals. Plena Illustrita Vortaro. That's the dictionary I was trying to say, and I couldn't remember the name of. All right, you have to speak a lot. It really boosts your language. Yes. Since being here in Thailand, I was having fun learning Thai in the United States, but I was also getting a little bit burnt out. But when you're here in Thailand, it's like I'll learn a phrase on Pimsleur or on Mango or whatever, and then I'll go out into the street that afternoon and I'll use it with someone who doesn't speak English. So my only way of communicating that phrase, that idea, is by using the phrase that I just learned using Pimsleur or Mango or whatever it is. So it's really motivating when that happens. And speaking a language with a human being is just so much more rewarding than Duolingo or any app that you could possibly use. Oh, sorry, I don't think I've mentioned yet HelloTalk. HelloTalk is also definitely one of my favorite apps, because it connects you with other human beings who wants to learn languages. It's someone that's trying to learn your native language in exchange for helping you learn their native language. So you have to be willing to kind of do a give and take, speak both with them in their native language, and you speak your native language. If you don't like that, you can just pay someone to speak with you on italki. That's an option too. I've done that a little bit. But HelloTalk is really nice because you can just chat with a whole bunch of people, and it's real easy. All right, Jacob says, yes, for sure, I just speak Spanish to myself sometimes. Hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. If you're the only person that speaks the language, then you speak to yourself. Have you checked out the Green Elephant Thai Esperanto Society? I have seen them on social media. And in fact, I think I messaged one of them or something, but I never heard back, or at least I don't remember seeing a response. I do want to go participate in some of their events sometime eventually, because Esperanto is just near and dear to my heart, and it's my favorite language, so I want to definitely continue meeting with other Esperanto speakers. Actually, I did meet one other Esperanto speaker here in Bangkok using Amikumu, but he was not from Bangkok, he was from Hanoi, so, you know, he was on vacation, so he already went back. All right, for me, keeping a planner/journal is helpful for the repetition of writing the days of the weeks, month, and subject heading in target language. Yeah, so my philosophy about learning large sets of related vocabulary, like days of the week, you know, months of the year, numbers, anything like that, where it's like you just have like 15 different things that you need to learn, and they're all kind of in the same category, and they're hard to kind of distinguish in your mind. Like, you know, if you learn all 12 months of the year, really until you put those into practice, they're just words, right? And it's going to be easy to mix up July and October or November and June because they're just words. Right, so what I like to do is not learn the whole set of words and just learn one or two, the one or two that I think are going to be the most useful, and then start to use those, and then just not worry about learning the other ones until it becomes necessary. Like, for example, I learned the word for July in Thai because I was talking to people online and I kept having to say, I'm going to move to Thailand in July. This was something that came up a lot, you know. So now maybe the next word that I'll learn might be October because that's my birthday, or December because I'm going to be going back home for Christmas in December, or maybe May because that's when the school year is over. These are words that I'm going to be talking about, and those, you know, sooner or later all the words will trickle into your vocabulary as they become useful. But if you just learn 12 words right off the bat, that's going to be hard. Just because, you know, they're all going to kind of blend together and you're not going to be able to keep them straight. At least that's my experience. Obviously, everyone's different. So, you know, days of the week, like I might say something like I work Monday to Friday at a school. So Monday and Friday are going to be salient words for me. Or I might say every Saturday I go swing dancing in Bangkok. So Saturday, you know, if I'm talking about my hobbies, then Saturday is going to be an important word for me to know, right? Or I might say I go to swing dance lessons on Tuesday. Tuesday is now a relevant word for me to know, and I don't have to, you know, if I'm just learning how to say Tuesday in the context of I'm going to Bangkok for a swing dance lesson on Tuesday, that's going to be an easy word for me to keep in my mind because there's a context behind it, and you only have to remember one word. And every time I talk about going to Bangkok for a swing dance lesson on Tuesday, that word, you know, is going to come up. It's going to be related to that sentence in that way. So there's a connection there. Whereas if you're just learning 7 days of the week, it's a lot harder to keep them all straight. So that's my philosophy. That's my theory about vocabulary memorization when you're memorizing sets of vocabulary. I'm sure there's going to be some expert language learner out there who disagrees with me, and that's okay. We can all have our own strategies and still live civilly with one another. You know, I have disagreements with a lot of people, but they're good people and they're good language learners, and they just have different strategies than I do. All right, for keeping a planner journal, okay, I already read that one. What is your motivation to learn Thai? My motivation is I live in Thailand, and in order to go outside and order food, I have to speak Thai. That's also, I like learning languages. So it's tough because there's a lot of people here who don't speak any Thai whatsoever. And gosh, okay, so a lot of my language learning friends here online are probably going to get mad at me for saying this, but There's nothing wrong with being a monoglot. I know that that's like heresy to say that. um, I see all these memes in language learning circles of people making fun of monoglots, like, "Oh, you only speak one language, ha ha ha," or what, or just making fun of people who question why you would need to learn other languages. Learning languages is hard, you guys. Like, you have to put a lot of time and energy and effort into learning other languages. And it might not be worth it, legitimately. So, like, why are you going to put time and effort and money and resources into learning something that's very difficult to learn if it's not going to really benefit your life? You have to make that decision for yourself. For me, I'm a language nerd, so obviously if I'm moving to Thailand, there's not a chance that I was not going to learn Thai. It's just part of who I am. But, you have to make that value judgment for yourself. There's plenty of people who, it's just not worth the time and energy. It's probably going to be worth the time and energy to learn like the survival phrases, how to direct a taxi and stuff like that. Yeah, Paul says it's always good to learn languages. And yeah, I mean, it's not bad to be able to speak other languages. It's always good to learn another language if you can, but you have to balance that against everything else in your life. And if learning another language is going to bring more value to your life, then, like, if it's going to bring more value than the time and the sacrifice that it's going to cost, then you should do it. If you make a value judgment and you say, I have better things to do with my time, then there's no shame in that, because you have to make decisions. You have to be discriminatory about what things you're going to spend your time and money doing. Granted, if you are living in a foreign country, then it's probably going to weigh the scale more towards learning the language. But again, everyone has to make that decision for themselves. It's just going to be a lot harder to like really embrace the culture and make new friends and meet new people in a foreign country if you don't speak any of the language. But, if you work in an English school like I do, then you're going to have no shortage of people who speak English. So, I don't make any judgments about people who only speak one language. I guess I'm not a snob in that way. Sometimes I don't like to tell people about how many languages I speak, because I know people have like struggled for years to learn Spanish in high school and in college, and then they still can't speak it. And it seems like learning a language is so difficult. It's not that difficult, but it just seems like it's so difficult because they're not learning the right way. And they're like, yeah, learning languages is so hard. And then they ask me how many languages I speak, and I'm like, well, like 5-ish. Because I don't want to come off like I'm bragging. Sometimes it's just like an awkward conversation. I don't know if any of you guys experience the same thing, or if you're just more confident than I am. Okay, so I'm missing more stuff. Oh yeah, that was all. What is your motivation for learning Thai? That was a long rabbit trail. Okay, that is what I mean. Writing the month, all month long, in the days every day. Oh, that was in relation to our vocabulary conversation. The man who's the contact for the green elephant is Warut. I watched a YouTube video of Alex and Camille on YouTube where they interviewed Warut in Esperanto. Yeah, I should definitely try to contact them again, because I definitely would like to get involved in Esperanto community here in Bangkok. It's always good to learn languages. Carlos says, hi, I'm Carlos from Brazil. When will you come to Brazil to exchange English and Esperanto? I hope to see you soon. To tell you the truth, actually, Brazil is one of the countries that I would like to go to. That's like one of my top countries that I would choose to go to if I have the opportunity. A lot of times people comment on my channel, hey, when are you gonna learn Georgian? Or when are you gonna learn Arabic? Like, I just have no intention of learning some of these languages. I probably will never learn Arabic. And it's not that I have anything against Arabic, it's just that learning languages takes time. It's a commitment. I don't want, if I take a trip to Egypt, then I'm gonna learn how to say a few things in Arabic. But at this point in my life, I don't foresee myself ever learning Arabic to any, like an A1 level or anything like that. Portuguese, I don't know. I already speak Spanish, so I feel like I always say learning Romance languages is buy one, get one half off. Even more so with Spanish and Portuguese. So I won't say I'll never learn Portuguese. I don't have any real plans of actually learning Portuguese anytime soon, but we'll see what the future holds. Okay, I would recommend everyone learns a second language though. Have you seen the health benefits? It can offset dementia-related diseases by like 3 years. Yeah, I mean, okay. Learning a language is good for your brain, right? Learning to play a musical instrument is good for your brain. That can help offset dementia and, help memory functions. Like, there's all kinds of things that you can do that are good for you. There's all kinds of things that you can do that will enrich your life. Learning a language is one of them. Like, I will never tell people to not learn languages. It's something that I love to do, and if I can encourage someone to do it with me, excellent. If that person, they think about it, they weigh the pros and cons, and then they make a judgment and say, it's not worth it for me to put the time and effort into learning a language, then I support their decision. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't learn languages. I'm saying it's a good thing to do, but the world is full of good things to do that you can spend your time and energy on. And if you choose to do those stuff to the exclusion of learning languages, go for it. If you have made the decision to do that. If you think your time will be better spent doing other things. You can't have infinity hobbies. You can do a lot of good stuff, but you have to make decisions about what stuff you will do and what stuff you won't do. I would love it if everyone learned to play a musical instrument too, but learning to play the piano takes a long time to play well. And I understand if someone doesn't want to put in the time and energy into learning to play an instrument. That's what I'm saying. And I knew this was going to be controversial to say on my channel. I'm probably the last person you might expect to say something like that. But all I'm saying is I don't judge you if you choose not to learn languages. I respect your decision. That's my stance. Okay, I knew exactly how you feel about the how many languages question. I usually answer, well, a couple. Yeah, and it's like, okay, here's the other thing. I'm very proud to speak Esperanto. I love Esperanto, and Esperanto is my favorite language. But when people ask me how many languages I speak, I'll often be like, oh, I speak Spanish and French. And like, I could list off Esperanto too, but half the time I have to quickly ask myself, are we in a conversation, like, is this a really quick conversation where I don't want to delve into what is Esperanto? Because I can't do that in a quick conversation. And I know if I tell them that I speak Esperanto, there's at least a 50% chance that they don't know what Esperanto is. So then I'm gonna have to go into what is Esperanto. And on the, and then on the chance that they do know what Esperanto is, there's at least now a 90% chance that I have to explain why I would want to learn Esperanto. So a lot of times I'll just leave out Esperanto. I'll say, hey, I speak Spanish and French and some other languages too. Because, Esperanto is definitely my weakest language aside from Thai now. So it's also a question of like, what does it mean to speak a language? I definitely speak English. Okay, I definitely speak Spanish. My French is pretty good, so I speak French. My Esperanto is, I don't know if I would say my Esperanto is pretty good, but I proved to myself a couple weeks ago that I can live in Esperanto all day long, and I can have full conversations and develop deep relationships with people using only Esperanto and never switching back to English. I didn't think I could do that a few weeks ago. I thought I was a beginner, but I am definitely more upper intermediate than I thought I was. So that was really cool. Thai, I can have basic conversations in Thai. I actually proved that to myself too, because when I came to Thailand, I was like, I know a few words, I know a few key phrases. Hello, how are you? Sorry, please, thank you, you're welcome. And I was like, but I can't really have a conversation. But then I went to this Thai school and I met this Thai teacher who just tutored me for a week, and we only spoke Thai to each other. And it was hard, it was really messy, I made a lot of mistakes, but she understood me, and we never spoke English to each other. And I can do it. So do I speak Thai? If I can speak to someone only in Thai and develop a relationship with them, does that mean I speak Thai? Because I am speaking Thai to that person, right? So what does it mean to speak Thai if that is not speaking Thai? Generally, I feel like a lot of times, especially for people who've never learned a second language, a lot of times they'll say, well, if you speak a language, that means you're fluent. To say I speak Spanish means I'm fluent in Spanish. And to say I'm fluent in a language has something to do with being like a native speaker, and that's ridiculous because I speak Spanish nothing like a native speaker. I can speak Spanish all day long and we can have full conversations with minimal difficulties. Once in a while I'll make a grammar mistake, or sometimes I'll have to search for the word in my mind a little longer than if we were speaking English. But I speak Spanish, you guys. But I don't sound like a native speaker. I don't speak Spanish like in the same way that I speak English. So it's hard because there's just this gradient from being a native speaker to not speaking a language, and you can fall anywhere in between. So when it comes to how many languages do you speak, it's a hard question to answer. It really is. Okay. Pat says, ha ha ha. Actually, he says 555, which is Thai for ha ha ha. Good analogy. Thai and Lao is also buy one, get one half off. Yeah. That's what I've heard. It's like Urdu and Hindi or Swedish and Norwegian. Andy says, hi Aaron, I'm just dropping in briefly, but I just finished work, but I haven't left the office. He says, I'm surprised after all the YouTube videos you make where you spoke Esperanto, I'm surprised it's your weakest language. Your French and Spanish must be really good. Well, I lived in El Salvador for over a year. I lived in Paris for a summer, and I minored in Spanish and French in college. So, whereas I only learned Esperanto. Really, the only way I learned Esperanto is by making videos in Esperanto on my other channel and people correcting my mistakes. I don't use Duolingo anymore. I don't use any apps for learning Esperanto. I just make videos. So if you want to check out my channel where I speak Esperanto, it's Fingtam Esperanto. So it's like the name of this channel, except instead of Fingtam Languages, it's Fingtam Esperanto. Yes, it is, and you know, it is my weakest language other than Thai now, which is now my weakest language. For a long time, Esperanto was my weakest language, and I'm a vlogger who vlogs purely in Esperanto. So do I speak Esperanto? You have to, you know, I mean, yes, I do speak Esperanto. If someone asked me, do you speak Esperanto? I would say yes. I wouldn't say, well, I'm learning. I would say, yes, I speak Esperanto. It's not perfect, but I speak it. That would be my answer. You know, I guess everyone can have their own definition. Rasmus says, yes, exactly what I mean to speak a language. Where do you find your day-to-day motivation to make learning a language a habit? Part of me is just a nerd. I'm a linguistics nerd. I majored in linguistics, and if you know me in real life, if you've known me for any period of time, you know that if I'm having a conversation with you, eventually you're gonna say something, and I'm gonna say, that's a really interesting linguistic phenomenon. It just comes up all the time, and I am always talking about linguistics with my friends and family. So part of me just loves, you know, some people like to play Halo. Oh gosh, Halo, I just dated myself. Halo is what we played when I was in high school. Now I guess they have Fortnite or something. Call of Duty. Is Call of Duty even still a thing? I feel like Call of Duty became the new Halo, and now they have something else. Some people like to just sit and play video games. I get the same level of gratification sitting and learning languages all evening. You know, when I was in high school, I played a lot of video games. I played Morrowind and Oblivion for like way too many hours. But nowadays, I like learning. Learning languages, learning, you know, to play musical instruments, learning strange skills. So, I bought this sling earlier this summer. It's like, you know, you slip it over your finger and then, you know, you spin it around. It's like a David and Goliath sling. You put a rock in here and then I can go hunt rabbits. I don't know why I thought it would be fun to learn how to do this. It's really hard. It takes a lot of practice, but I like learning, you guys. That's like video games to me. Some people will just sit and play video games. I will just sit and learn strange skills. And when I stop learning, I'll be dead. So that's part of the motivation for wanting to continue learning languages. The other part is just, I like meeting people, I like traveling, and you can really develop some pretty deep relationships with people, even with very limited language proficiency. You know, I've done it in the past. I always try to spark up conversations with people in whatever country I'm in, no matter what level I speak the language at. I don't speak Thai very well, you guys, but I speak Thai to people when I'm out on the street or in the store. Most of the people in the touristy areas here speak English, but I speak Thai to them. Sometimes I have to speak English. And sometimes they'll switch to English on me. I'll still try to speak Thai to them. Okay, sorry, I'm missing a lot of comments here. Do you know when you see Spanish text that was written by a native speaker or someone who just knows Spanish? I see this all the time and I don't understand it. So, Yeah, like I can generally tell if someone is a native Spanish speaker or if they're non-native. Um, I know I have a gringo accent, and I can recognize another gringo accent when I hear it. Some people are very good and they're very convincing, so to my ear, I can't hear the difference. But that's pretty rare. Like, there's not many people who speak a language so good that they can be confused for a native speaker. Really, there's no one, but I'm not a native speaker, so I can't hear the very fine differences. And even if a native speaker is not listening that closely, then a lot of times they won't be able to hear the differences too. Your Esperanto is better than you think. Well, thank you. I have been working on it a lot over the last month or so. Less so now that I moved to Thailand, but I really improved a lot at NASC because we were only speaking Esperanto all day, and I got a lot more confident in speaking Esperanto while I was there. How tall are you? I'm 6'4". Andy says, yeah, I get more pleasure and relaxation out of reading novels in French than I would ever get with a video game, even though there might be a lot of words I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, everyone's different. Some people just enjoy learning languages. Some people enjoy learning how to shoot rabbits with a slingshot. Some people enjoy playing Halo. And Andy says, and learning languages is my favorite free time activity. Yeah, I agree. The only thing I like more than learning languages is, I guess this is maybe a subset of learning languages, but the only thing I like more than studying languages is speaking languages with people, especially when they don't speak my native language. It's like, there's a difference between, okay, I'm gonna speak Thai to you because I wanna learn Thai, but I know we can always switch back to English whenever we feel like it. And I'm gonna speak Thai to you because that's the only method we have for communication. That's really gratifying, you guys. If you've never been in an experience like that, and not just with Thai, but I had an experience with that with Esperanto a few weeks ago. I met a guy who doesn't speak English. We had to speak Esperanto together. That was the first time I ever experienced that, because most people in the world speak English. So if you speak Esperanto, you probably also speak English, but we couldn't. We had to speak Esperanto to each other. And it's just so much more gratifying when I'm speaking a language because of necessity instead of speaking a language just because I need the practice. Although I will absolutely speak with people in my target language just for the practice, even if it's easier to speak English. All right, okay, now I gotta go. They'll lock up the building 15 minutes and I have to tidy up a bit before I go. Okay, thanks for joining, Andy. I appreciate you stopping by, even when it's just a little bit. Have you tried to use the language meetups in Bangkok yet? I looked up, what's it called? Duolingo. I first tried Duolingo in Montreal, and then later I went to one in Toronto. Earlier this year, and I want to go to the Duolingo Bangkok, but I guess they have to change venues or something, so they're not doing it this month. But I will. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to read my comments and I accidentally switched the camera around. I definitely will go to Duolingo Bangkok when they start doing it again. Listening comprehension has always been my main struggle in language learning. I wonder how do you go about it, especially regarding Thai, which is a tonal language. Pimsleur helps a lot, and then just listening, getting lots of exposure, listening to easy or slow language, like you can listen to the news in slow Spanish or slow French. Gary says, do you have plans for filling your bookcase over the coming year? It's like, I love books. I'm a nerd. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna stay here longer than a year, and I don't want to buy a bunch of books and fill my bookcase and then not be able to bring them back with me. That's the conundrum that I'm in. Yeah, I know everyone's staring at the bookcase. I do have books in it, just the books that I was able to fit in my suitcase. Anyways, I think I'm gonna get going here. I have to go. I still have some work to get done before Monday when school starts. I'll try to start uploading videos more regularly. I'm gonna try to get Wi-Fi here in my apartment so that maybe I won't get my internet randomly cut off and I have to do videos in 2 parts. Hopefully that will help. Thanks for all of you who have been watching Gis Revido. So yeah, I appreciate all of you guys who have joined, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.